And so at work, we had a Biggest Loser contest. And I need to lose weight. I was about 250 pounds. And I've been thinking to myself, man, I got to lose weight. And I was doing that for months. I got to lose weight. And then, hey, we're having a Biggest Loser contest at work. And you can chip in $100. And whoever wins it gets the kitty. And I went, yes, motivation. I want to do this. And I jumped in. I was the first one in line with my $100 bill. And I put it down there. And I was motivated. It happened to be from October to January. So guess what happens between October and January? You have Thanksgiving, you have Christmas, you have New Year's, and you eat a lot and you get fat. And I'm like, I'm already fat, I'm just gonna get fat. What am I gonna do? So we actually went to Hawaii that year, and I said, no, I'm gonna sit around Hawaii and get fat on the beach. So I was thinking, I had been working out. I started working out, started eating right, and I started losing some weight. And so I went to Hawaii, and before I went to Hawaii, I called my brother-in-law, who was a cyclist. And I biked like a kid, like anybody else. I biked here and there, but I wasn't a big cyclist or anything. I wouldn't be considered that. So I said, hey, I looked online and said, hey, there's this ride I could do around Maui. It's called the West Maui Loop. And I told Gary, who lives there, I said, Gary, I'm going to do the West Maui Loop. I'm going to bike. And he goes, you're going to do what? I'm going to ride the West Maui Loop. And he said, well, you've been riding? No. And he goes, okay. And he kind of left it at that. I got to Maui, I rented a bike, and I didn't even have the right kit, they call it, the right gear to wear, and didn't have the shoes. I didn't know he had to clip in these things. I didn't know anything about it. And he's like, okay. He just took me as I was, and he said, okay, well, let's get you set up, and I'll show you how to ride this bike, clip it in, and here's what you do. He taught me how to ride these bikes. He said, well, let's go on a ride. Okay. So he took me, what does he do? He takes me to the steepest hill on Maui. I mean, it's 20% grade, which doesn't mean a lot, but it's steep. If you walked up it, you'd get tired in 50 feet. It's just like this, and then it goes around a curve. And before we get there, I'm riding along and just chugging away, and he says, I'm not really in shape, I haven't been riding much, I'm not gonna get up the wall. And I said, what? I'm not gonna get up it. I'm like, well, how's that? So, well, I just haven't been riding. So he said, put it in low gear and go as far as you can. So we're riding together, and he stops, and I keep going. And I probably go about, I don't know, maybe 60, 70 yards, and then I stop, and I couldn't go any further. So I turned around, I rolled back to him, and Gary looks at me, and he goes, you're a pretty strong rider. He started modeling for me. He started motivating me, and he said, you're a good rider. Here's how you do this. Here, going up that hill, kind of go side this way, and that way you're not going straight up. He started teaching me. He started working with me. He started coaching me and mentoring me. And so he did that for a week. He took me out on a couple of rides, and he said, man, you're a really strong rider. And I'm like, yeah, I'm feeling pretty good about it. And so about a week later, he teaches me how to hydrate, how to fuel up, and he's giving me all this stuff that I don't even know what it is. And so I get out there on a Tuesday morning and get on the bike and I go it alone and I do the West Maui Loop. The West Maui Loop is 65 miles. Okay. I was thinking that's a long ride, at least I was. Elevation, which I didn't even know what that was. How much climbing you're going to have to do. I had no idea. It was like a mile of climbing, 5,000 feet of climbing, which is a lot of climbing for one ride. I didn't know that. I did the 65-mile West Maui Loop, and I found out later that's a world-class ride. You don't just go out and do that. And I'm like, I did it. I did. I was like a little kid. I was excited. But what did Gary do? He led me. He modeled for me. He mentored me. And he motivated me. And I'm kind of into multiplying myself a little bit. People that want to ride, I want to help them start riding again and start multiplying myself. That's what leadership's all about. It's about those people. It's about those people. You invest your life, work into them, and they will soar.